So today I am fielding the going with Khorne, and we're going with World Eaters of 1500 points. So start from top to bottom. Start with the HQ. Of course, it'll only be right to rock with Khorne the Betrayer. And then for troop choice, I'm going with a squad of 9 Khorne Berserkers, which are going to be riding in with Khorne in their own personal Dreadclaw. And then I've got 30 Bloodletters. And that's whether or not they do anything, we'll only find out as time goes on. For fast, I'm rocking with 2 Blood Slaughterers, one armed with the Impaler Cannon, one armed with 2 close combat weapons. And then for my heavy support, I'm rocking with the Forge Fiend and just going with the auto cannons. Didn't have quite enough points for the head. Artifact, I'm going with the brass collar on Khorne, which if I manage to deny a psychic test and that psychic spell in the enemy's turn, that gives them automatically Perils of the Warp if I manage to spell it. And then that's pretty much it. Oh, and the troops, going all with close combat weapons. There's 3 plasma weapons, 2 on the troops, 1 on the captain, and he's armed with a power sword, and that is it.
Right guys, so here is my Nurgle army, and this is the first outing. It's the first time I've ever used it, so if I make mistakes I do apologise to all you Nurgle fans, but it's looking sweet and I cannot wait to use it. There's a lot more to come for this army. It's going to be fairly substantial when it's completed, but thankfully it's been painted for me, so as you can see, it looks pretty damn epic, so excited about fielding it today. This is a 1500 point game, as Darren would have already mentioned, and let's run over what I've got. So we've gone for a real kind of foot slogging, lots of just troops, lots of annoyance. So we have a battalion detachment, and that battalion detachment is headed up by the Herald of Nurgle, which is this guy, and the Great Unclean One. Now the Herald of Nurgle will be my warlord. He'll again have the survivability warlord trait, just to make him have silly amounts of saves, but it's all pretty good fun. And then we have some troop choices. So we have a big 30-man blob of Plague Bearers. We then have a 20-man blob of Plague Bearers, and then a 16-man unit of Plague Bearers. We then have 6 Nurgling bases. They're pretty good, quite irritating, and have a nice little special rule where they can basically pop up and be a real irritation. And then we have 2 units of 3 of the Plague Drones. And they are really cool little units. I'm not too sure how well they're going to do, but they look absolutely cool. Hopefully they'll be an irritation. Maybe do some kind of zipping around and taking some objectives. And then we have a Grand Command detachment, and in that detachment we have 4 Heralds of Nurgle. So I haven't yet worked out exactly what powers I'm going to give them, so we'll have a little look at that, and I'll kind of go through it once we're deployed. But yeah, it should be interesting. Very, very interesting, kind of like foot slogging force. Hopefully it'll be pretty resilient. It needs to be, because the World Eaters are going to be putting out a hell of a lot of hurt. But what Nurgle do very well is kind of dig in there and frustrate the hell out of the other army. So we'll see whether that works today in their first outing.
So the table has been set and the dice have been cast. I put down, no, it was you to put down the first objective, wasn't it, John?
Yep.
So we're going for mission type Deadlock, which has 6 objectives. John put his first one down, so I believe we've got 1 by the rock, we've got 1 somewhere in the middle, 1 down by this rock, that rock. Funny enough, there's quite a lot of rocks, and then there's another one underneath the Plague Bearers. We rolled off to see what table map we're going to do, and we're going with the not Spearhead, it's the Dawn of War. Sorry, apologise, I'm losing my words. So we're going to roll off now. I had less models pop down the board, so I get the +1 on the roll. So we're going to roll off live, see who gets to choose.
1.
I've got 1 as well.
So again. Oh no, actually no. You would have won that because you got +1.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. Even though I got 6 on the reroll.
So yes. So not even thinking about it, I have won that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to. I'm tempted to say John go first, but then. Yeah, I'm going to go first. All right. Yep. Decided. So I'm going to go first.
So I'm going to try and seize the initiative then.
Yep. Let's see what you can do.
Oh,
just the one.
Seize the initiative.
So into my turn 1 objectives. My first objectives, I've got supremacy, hold D3 objectives, secure objective 1, which we said was back there. And I've moved myself, so the bloodletter's advanced up, so I've got objective marker 2 and I'm in objective marker 3 up there. And then the next one along is Master of the Warp, got to deny some psychic ability. And then I've got defend and hold ejective marker 2, which is into the centre, so just got to hold that for 2 turns. Hold the line, which is not really Khorne's way of fighting, but it meant I have to keep 3 units completely within my line, which meant I couldn't use the bloodletters to play a part in that. And Kingslayer, which is his warlord in the middle, so I might struggle with that this turn, but let's go into my first turn of shooting. So, end of my shooting, being Khorne, no psychic shenanigans going on. In shooting, the lovely Forge Fiend, really got the wounds in, he was hitting like a boss, got all 4 hits, got 4 wounds, and he saved every single one. That sucks. On regards to the other lot of shooting, the bikes popped some more wounds over to the lovely little Noblins. Sorry lads, keep forgetting losing my words. They managed to pop 3 wounds off onto 1. And then
that was it, wasn't it? That was the last wound from them.
That was the last wound from them. And then over here, Khorne the Betrayer and his little merry band of men managed to do 4. Is it 2? Oh, sorry, apologies. 2 guys. So not great on that side. So it's whether or not they have to take any morale checks on them. Okay, so end of combat. With the drop pod, the Dreadclaw dropping down there. Khorne unfortunately did not manage to get into combat. However, the lovely Khorne Berserkers did do what they were meant to do. They didn't do it first time. It did take them 2 attempts to get it. So when they struck back the second time, they did manage to kill off his unit of plague bearers. John, how many did you have in total?
That was a small unit, so there was 15 there.
So that does give me first blood or first strike.
First blood.
First blood. And then objective wise, so I did get supremacy, which we'll roll off in a second. Let's find a dice. A 1, terrible. And then secure objective marker 1, which we got. Haven't done that one just yet. Hold the line, which we've got. Defend and hold objective mark 2, got to do that for 2 turns, and I haven't got Kingslayer yet. So now moving into John's turn.
Okay, so this is my turn 1 for the Nurgle Demons. Pretty poor load of objectives. So defend objective 2, defend objective 4, big game hunter, defend objective 3, secure objective 2, secure objective 3. All those objectives are not in my deployment zone or nowhere near. So objective 3 is over here. I have to both secure and defend that one. We then have objective 2, which is in the centre by the bloodletters that are imminently going to be hitting my front lines. We then have objective 4, which is right over underneath the Forge Fiend. And then the last one, which is objective 1. Well, he did have objective 1 actually, which was right at the back with that other sort of blood slaughterer. But I then decided to kind of swap that in, so I used 2 command points to kind of get another objective, but still was nothing great to be fair. And I got Big Game Hunter, which is again kill something that is got more than 10 wounds. There's not many of them in this army, so that's a pretty tough one as well. So pretty difficult. So after obviously my Plague Bearers went down, it's trying to decide what to do next. The Great Unclean One's in combat. He's no slouch in combat, so I'm not really worried about him being there particularly. He's very resilient, as everything is in this army. I'm quite happy with him staying there. He can smite and do his goodness. And that's all I've done is I've kind of spread out around, so maybe I've kind of moved up the Plague Bearers. The Nurglings have moved up a little bit as well. They potentially will get in combat from those guys, but that's part of the plan. I'm quite happy with them hitting the front lines. It's exactly what we really want. And then all the heralds are all within smite range again of the berserkers. These guys have stayed still. Their shooting's in range of the berserkers if I needed to, but obviously, you know, I'm going to stay in combat because I think that's the best shout. These guys have moved on forward, no problems there, and I've stayed put with the drones as well. So I'm not planning on really scoring anything this turn, but I'm just planning on seeing off the berserkers, who are the biggest kind of threat really in this army. That then isolates Khorne, that we can kind of pick off in the kind of turns to go. I'm not too concerned about that. Everything else is obviously going to hit in, but has a lot less attacks than the berserkers. And the big thing with this Nurgle army is just incredibly resilient. It's weight of attacks that is going to end up stumping it, and I only really see that threat coming from them bloodletters, which I can potentially chip away at before they hit my front line. So that's the plan. I think you have to play the Nurgle in that way. It's a kind of a frustrating army. It's quite slow, it plods along, and we have to play the long game. So that'll be the plan. So now we'll go into the psychic phase. There's very little shooting. We'll go into the psychic phase and see how much damage we can do to these berserkers. So the end of the psychic phase, and that will actually end the turn. It's kind of a predictable outcome, to be fair. With pretty much a ton of smite, is exactly what we did. Khorne did try. He's got his sort of artifact to try and dispel one, but he failed to dispel it, and then pretty much everybody hit in. I used one of my command points to re-roll one of them, but didn't even get to the end of the heralds to take out all of the berserkers. So we don't think it's first strike, it's just first blood, as in sort of standard old style. So I still won't get a first strike out of it, but it does mean potentially the most dangerous unit from the Chaos Space Marines and the Khorne army is down, and it very much puts Khorne the Betrayer probably where he wants to be, which is on his own, but he is very much isolated now on his own. I did in the shooting phase shot in the death heads into him, got 3 wounds, but Khorne made all of his saves like a boss, no problems at all. See what he does now. He's probably going to run at these guys, but then he's in a really difficult position because he's now going to find himself directly in the smite spam himself. So he's got a difficult decision to make. Will he run in headlong into the smite? Potentially he could do that, but that might well see a very early Slay the Warlord. So we'll go into turn 2 for the Khorne army.
So going into Khorne's turn 2. So objective wise, I pulled my extra cards. So I've now got still got defend and hold objective marker 2, which I'm going to get at the end of this. The Will of the Chaos, and that is roll d6, which I got a 4, and lucky for me, my Forge Fiend is still nested on top of it. Domination, not going to get that, d3 plus 3, and then that was it. That was it for this turn. On objectives, into movement, the Bloodletters have advanced up the board. The Khorne has decided he's going to brave it on his own, up to his little plague drones. The drop pod is advanced over 15 inches towards the little Nurglings, give them a little taste of flaming, and then the bikes have moved up a little bit further up to see what we can pop off with the shots. So for the World Eaters, Khorne's shooting phase. We don't have much to shoot with, but what we did, I think we were on target, so I'm quite happy with that. The drop pod done d6 damage on the Nurglings. We got rolled a 4, so managed to take a couple of wounds. But it was the bikes that managed to pop off 2 and a bit of the Nurglings. Khorne the Betrayer cooked his plasma, and we managed to get 1 wound because of John's lucky rolls. Saving. At the end of my turn, some silly mistakes were made, and some disappointing action from Khorne. So objectives: the silly mistake that I've done, pulled myself off objective 2, so I no longer get that, which was a bit silly. And what else do I get? We'll go through that in a sec. I haven't got Kingslayer, haven't done that one. That's pretty much terrible. I've got that one, so that's one card got. It's the Maulafine. And then over here, the Bloodletters done well. They should have done well. They took out the little Nurgling. The bikes over there didn't take any of the Plague Bearers, which was a bit disappointing. I thought they might have been able to do a bit more. But this was the heartbreaking thing. So 2 models that died that I thought would have done better. The Bloodslaughterer went up against Papa Nurgle himself. He did not hit, he did not wound. Terrible. Khorne, the Betrayer. He was betrayed when they writ his rules. Hit, got a couple of wounds in there. They shrugged it off, killed one Blight Drone, put the other one down, a wound, and then the 2 Blight Drones killed him. That is absolutely shocking. I am devastated. I'm obviously playing Khorne wrong. There is something definitely wrong with that. Maybe I was a bit silly thinking that Khorne was the boy and he could take on the world. Moving over to John.
Okay, so Nurgle Demons, turn 2. So we drew Kingslayer. So we've obviously scored that already. I quickly rolled for it and only got 1 point for it, but you know, there you go. So these are the cards that I'm currently sitting on now. I've got Secure Objective 2, Secure Objective 3, and then Defend Objective 2, Defend Objective 3. So 3 is over here, and 2 is behind the Bloodletters. I'm not going to get any time soon, but I feel I'm in a really quite strong position now. We've killed off quite a lot of danger. And he's kind of hit the wall now of Nurgle, which is pretty hard to deal with. He gets an extra attack on the charge. He's lost that attack now, so we can now do what kind of Nurgle does, and we'll kind of probably just grind him down. And Darren's looking fed up over there. He's looking disillusioned and fed up. So yeah, we'll see what happens now. So we hopefully could have a good turn here. And really kind of put the pedal down, because we've got a hell of a lot of smites that are about to come down on this Khorne army as we go into the psychic phase and the shooting phase. So the end of shooting, psychic phase, pretty successful. Lots and lots of smites coming in against Bloodletters, taking out how many in all? Took out what, 9 or something, did I say?
I thought it was 11.
Took out 11. Wow. So yeah, taking out 11 of the Bloodletters. So pretty brutal stuff from the smite, but that's what it does. It's a nasty thing, folks. It's not friendly, but there you go. That's the way it works. That's the way this army kind of features. It just completely goes in, grinds you down, and then hits you with a smite. These guys have kind of just gone around this corner. They're fine where they are. And we put some shots onto the pod, taking 1 wound there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go and try and smash in with the remainder guys, and pile in and try and do some more damage to these Bloodletters. Okay, so end of the combat round, and actually in fact end of the turn. So a really effective turn for me, as you can probably see by the lack of Bloodletters. So actually I didn't do that much damage. I think I might have took another couple out at best. They only hit that well in combat, even with a +1 strength from the Herald being within range, still not hitting that well. When the Bloodletters hit back, he took 2 of my guys down, and the bikes took, I think they took 1 or 2 as well, and I didn't do any damage to them. So, you know, not that great, but because I did so much damage with the smites, his test, he failed miserably, rolled a 5, so he actually lost like 13 guys additional, which was crazy stuff. So there's actually only 2 Bloodletters left. So it's looking pretty bad for the Khorne army at the moment. Darren has got an advantage on objective points, and I don't think I can table him, not with that Forge Fiend right at the back there. So you never know. He's going to score some more points in a minute, I believe, potentially. But actually that was my turn, not his turn. What am I thinking about? But anyway, yeah, so we'll score some more points in a second. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do them now. So we scored objective 3. As we secure that with the drones over there. which is pretty cool. We don't get objective 2 yet, and obviously now we need to stay on and defend objective 3 for a turn. But that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that as a turn. The Nurgle seem really tough. They seem a really good army. I'm very impressed with how they're getting on so far. As we go into turn 3 for
moving into my turn 3 for Khorne. Okay, so objective wise, I've pulled no prisoners, so I've got to destroy an enemy unit. I'm not going to get D3, so I've got to aim for 1. I've done something on my movement phase I didn't think I would do with Khorne, and that is run with my bikes. I'm too much of a coward. The bloodletters, unfortunately, they're going to have to stand where they are. They have to face the tide. I can't see them lasting much longer. I might be very lucky. Khorne may be in my favour. I doubt it. Over here, the drop pod, the Dreadclaw, jumps itself over to the back of the flies. I'm going to try to do some flaming on them, and then the little Gribbly there has pulled himself up around the back, so we're going to try take them out on there. So let's see what we go. In Khorne's shooting phase, not really much to shoot at. Done a couple of 4 wounds off the Forge Fiend into the little puppies over there. Managed to take out 2, was it?
Yep, killed 2.
And then over here, the drop Dreadclaw did a massive D6 and got a 6, but only 1 wounded. Terrible. So moving into my assault phase. So at the end of combat, okay, so end of Khorne's combat. No surprise really there that the Bloodslaughter and the Dreadclaw, spit my words out, did take out the 2 pesky flies. Now this is the big surprise. The 2 bloodletters that I thought would have been minced, 1 survived. I was really lucky on the rolls. So it makes a change, me saving some rolls. And on the missions, I've got no prisoners. And I've already discarded Kings there because that's just not going to happen. So see where we go in the next turn. So
end of movement. So we drew a mission critical objective, which basically roll a dice and whatever objective number that is. If you hold that, you score a point. If it was held by the opponent at the beginning of the turn, you get D3. So I rolled a 6, which is this one. So I will hold it for a point, but no more than that. Obviously, I'm still sitting on defend objective 3, and I have secure objective 2 and defend objective 2, which is obviously in the middle where the bloodletters were. So what I've done is I've moved the flies up to make sure that I will still hold that at the end of this turn to make sure I've got the defend, because I would have had that in for 2 turns. So happy days, we'll take that. And then I've fled from combat and kind of bubble wrapped the poor unexpected bloodletter to make sure that I am within 3 inches of that objective. And then the nasty 5 heralds as well as big Papa Nurgle, and then going to smite this poor bloodletter back to where he came. These guys have marched on up. We're now on the offensive, going to chase down those bikes, just kind of frustrate Darren as much as possible. So we're in a really strong place now. Hopefully we should dispatch that guy. Well, God knows what happened if we didn't. And
it's going to be Perils of the Warp, mate.
It might well be Perils of the Warp. I can afford to lose one. I'm not too worried.
And then you're going to suck in everything around you.
Blow everyone else up.
Yeah.
Possibly. And these guys, obviously, they're probably going to be in trouble next turn. But that's okay, because we should now get quite a bucket of points. And this little bubble here is just so difficult for Darren to deal with. So much damage output. So we'll see what happens as we go into psychic phase and shoot. Right guys, end of the shooting psychic phase, and in fact the end of the turn. So as expected, Papa Nurgle finished off the remaining bloodletter. And that was more or less it. We took some pot shots over here at the Slaughterer. We took out 1 of his wounds, but nothing more than that. I'm not going to be doing any assaulting. Need to make sure we hold on to that objective to defend that. And that will be the end of my turn. So I secured objective 2, which is sitting over here in the middle, which is cool. If I can hold that for another turn, I'll defend it, which will be quite hard for Darren to stop me from doing. Then I have got the critical mission for holding that 6, and I've got defend objective 3, which is over here. So pretty good, getting 2 points for that. So that really starts to wrap me up for points. It's going to be hard now for Darren to do anything about it, but he's going to do his best as we go into turn 4 for Khorne.
Okay, so moving into Khorne's turn 4, I have picked up defend objective 4. So this is potentially worth 2 victory points for myself if I hold it for 2 turns. So I'm kind of trying to be a little bit tactful here. Moved him back, so I'm just within 3 inches of the objective. So it's going to get me to hold it for 2 turns. I don't think he's going to be, well, I know he's not going to be able to get to me, but just to play it safe, I'm going to pull myself back, just no chance of smiting to death. And then over here, the Dreadclaw, I'm not really going to move. I'm going to keep him where he is. So he's just within 6 of the little plague drones, so I can do the D6 shots on him if I get to wound and hit him this time. And then the Bloodslaughterer is going to try and make some love with him. End of my combat and shooting. We didn't do the update on shooting. So shooting wise, bikes shot the hell net out of these plague bearers. They started doing some damage. How many did you take?
6.
6.
I'll have a morale test in a minute.
Even the Forge Fiend popped a few in there as well. So we've taken quite a few down that. And then, as usual, the pistol on the Dreadclaw didn't do what it said on the tin. So it's not Ronsil. Other brands are available. And then the Bloodslaughterer, actually now, do you know what? I used the command point. I did use the Demon Forge. Actually worked well in my favour. It done what it needs to do. I did have a couple of misses, but that re-roll really did make a massive great difference. And I managed to get all my hits in there. Wounded 7.
Yep.
So 7 wounds, and that was enough to take out his 3 plague drones. So that was really important for myself. Just a shame I didn't know that right at the beginning. But you live and learn. You live and learn. So moving into John's turn.
Right. Okay. So squad objectives. So I've got no prisoners and I've got advance. So no prisoners, just kill something, which is cool. And if I kill 3 to 5 units, I get quite a lot. But that's not going to happen. He doesn't really have that many units left. Advance is basically move everything outside of the deployment zone, which is what I've done to make sure to get that. And defend objective 2 I will definitely have, because I'm going to hold that until the end of my turn, which is in the middle. So what we've done is we've all moved forward, and in fact I must mention I did lose another one through the morale test in the last phase. But anyway, so we've moved forward and all the heralds have come along to this side, and we're going to smite the living daylights out of that slaughterer to try and deal with him, to take him off that objective and to carry on taking away all the threats, because he's pretty nasty. But also, if we don't kill him off, we're going to be tempting him into what is the smite train. So we'll see what happens now as we go into the shooting, which I don't have any of, and then we go obviously the psychic phase as well. So end of that turn, and as expected, the smite train was heavy, it was fast, it was brutal, it was not pleasant.
No, not pleasant at all.
And it did, and to be fair, I rolled pretty hot. I did get 1 perils, but then I used my command point to get rid of that. And I did roll 1 over 10 for the D6 mortal wounds. And ultimately that was enough to take out the slaughterer. He did actually pop and do 3 mortal wounds to the Dread Claw next to it. But at that stage, I scored all 3 objectives that turn to take me on to 11 objectives. Darren's 8. He doesn't have enough cards to draw in the next turn to draw back. I have got Slay the Warlord as well. So it's pretty much a complete whitewash, and there's no way Darren can come back. He did give me a run for my money because he scored a lot of objectives early and I couldn't, but ultimately this little middle section of the army just proved a little bit too strong. So we're going to call it there. Darren has admitted defeat this once, and I get my first victory in 8th edition 40k. Woohoo! Not with my beloved Tyranids, but with a brand new army, the Nurgle, and particularly this painful smite train. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll jump back in a second for a quick little overview of how this game went.
So John, that was a really good game, but I sucked really, really bad in this. And I now know why I don't win any 8th games.
First 8th edition win!
Well done.
I'm
Well
excited. I'm going to take that. I'm going to love
done. Have I given you Mojo back?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, because it's a full army.
There,
Oh dear, sorry guys.
if you're thinking about taking demons, I really think on a competitive level, I think this is actually more effective than the Zinch, because those flies are, already minus you 1 on your hits, which I found very, very tricky in combat and shooting. That was really, really difficult for myself. Being Khorne, I have got nothing really to shoot anyway. The biggest mistake I made in this game was the fact that the bikes I put into combat, really I should have just held them back and just shot away. I've done more damage in shooting. This edition, I think with the bikes, are definitely more keep them at distance and just shoot. Don't try to get them into combat. Unless I'm doing it wrong, I don't think I am.
No, I think you're right, spot on.
I think that's
a
the
lot
way.
Of Decker in it. It's a lot of Decker.
Oh yeah, and then plus as soon as you got the into range, there's 4 shots. That's pretty cool.
Pretty brutal.
The World Eaters for myself they're not good enough. They're just, for me, the way I played it, I honestly don't. I'm not saying you can't play them competitively, and there's probably people out there that can work it out. But for me personally, I don't think my Khorne Berserkers will be coming back on the board anytime soon. At the moment, hopefully, if any GW members are listening, we would really like a new Khorne army. Blinking eyes here.
Yeah, I mean, look. So we've talked about it quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's really, really interesting. So there's a lot of people raving around how good Berserkers are, and they are like awesome. They hit like stink.
Yeah.
But anybody that's a decent player and deploys their army correctly in a competitive manner and has the right kind of balance of an army, so you have enough like bubble wrap, enough kind of chaff units, enough kind of shooting, psychic, whatever. If you've got kind of the right build, then you can really just kind of play around it, because they come in, they kill something really badly because they're brutal, and then they're in no man's land, and they only have a 3-up save. There's not really, there's probably ways of getting them a better save, but ultimately just with the sheer volume of either psychic powers that you're probably not going to get a save against anyway.
Yes, the Smite Train.
The Smite Train is just
me.
So against like the top armies, against things like like a Tau army, that the drones are going to like maybe you kill all the drones, but then the commanders are going to obliterate you. Against the Tzeentch Smite army, against this, they just. I really would say, I mean, I'd love to hear your comments down below. I'm sure we both would, because if we could play them, I mean, me and Darren both love World Eaters.
Big Khorne Berserker
fans. We're nutters. We love it, absolutely, and we want a ridiculously powerful Khorne Berserker army.
Free the Dreadclaws, so then you got 3 attacks. I don't know whether that had been enough to.
It might be, but you're looking at a lot of eggs in one basket, and again, against an army with enough padding, you just spread things out. It's probably doable, but I think it's very difficult, and I definitely wouldn't. And I don't want to say don't get excited about it, because everyone wants to get excited about Berserkers because they're cool, but I would say take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt, and I'd say really trial it, play it, because it's probably not quite what it's all cracked out to be.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to give it another try, but I'm going to try definitely change the list around something else. So keep an eye out for the next Khorne video when I do put one out there. I'll have a little tweak around. This is only 1,500 points. Maybe we'll try one at 2,000. Mind you, you're going to have more heralds popping in there, of course. But yeah, just in a nutshell, they're just.
What do you think? What do you think of Nurgle though? So like, this is the first time I've ever used this army.
Dude, they're
good, aren't they?
They're much better in 8th now than 7th, because you've got that +1 toughness.
They're just absolutely brutal.
Strength 4 as well, which I thought strength 3 before.
Yeah, and then the heralds given the +1 strength. They're just a really. I'm very, very impressed with them. Very impressed with them, and maybe it's a little bit one-dimensional, because I mean the flying bugs are quite good at just kind of capping an objective, but more or less the powerhouse is just in those plague bearers with that smite behind them. And I mean, even the Great Unclean one, probably 200 points or whatever. It's probably a waste of points. You don't really need him. It's just more heralds you need, really, to be honest. I mean, he did all right. He hit you quite hard when you attacked him, but realistically, you probably get a lot more heralds and what have you. So.
But then he done a lot of damage.
He did do a lot of damage. Yeah, maybe it's nice to have him, isn't it? It's nice to have the Great Unclean one in there. But yeah, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps us absolutely tons and tons and tons. Spread the word, share the love, all that sort of stuff.
We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, we absolutely would. And we will be back very, very soon with some more battle reports, some more goodness. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for taking the time.
Lovely, jubbly, dun 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 dun. Cool.